That doesn't sound mine.
Sounds really good. Better than it ever has, actually.
Yeah.
I'm glad that translated to the recording.
Yeah. Did you listen to any of it?
I listened about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It was enough.
Did you listen to a couple of the old ones?
Well, Amanda showed me. She played about a 20-second clip of the other ones.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, you could tell that. Like,
Well, it sounded like we were talking in cans.
Yeah.
On the other one.
And once you listen to it, and knowing what the issue was, like as soon as you hear where the old
It's
one's
obvious.
Like, yeah, you're like, oh yeah, you're 10 feet away from the mic.
It's obvious.
Yeah. All right, like this. But yeah, like as soon as I went back and listened to one of the old ones, I was like,
yeah, it was clear.
Yeah, like, we're idiots. Specifically me. So.
Well, I followed your lead and I believed you.
You're blind leading the blind then.
Well,
So
you knew that's what you were getting into with me, motherfucker. There's an outtake reel right there.
Oh yeah. No, I was listening to a podcast today, and I noticed on a few of them, like they don't do intros like we've been doing. Like they just like you turn it on and hit play, and they just kind of start talking. And I guess they're under the assumption if you're playing their podcast, you know who they are. Is the only thing I can think of.
I like the intro though.
I do too. I just thought it like I noticed it today. It's a podcast I listen to regularly.
Who is
and
it?
Like the free range American.
Oh.
It's the Black Rifle Coffee guys.
Well, when you get into a bigger podcast, then sure you can probably get away with that. But somebody just discovering us, I mean, like, who the fuck are these yokels?
Well, and my deal on it was I just like I've listened to 60 of their podcasts, and it's never registered that they don't do any kind of intro. It's just, like there's a music intro, and then they just start talking.
Well, they're a bigger name.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never paid much attention to that because I do know that like Mark Maron has one because he goes, "What the fuck, fuckers?" Because it's called the WTF podcast.
Oh yeah.
But anyway.
All right, give it 10 seconds. This is Ben.
And this is Jeremy.
And you're listening to Small Town Stoics. So, heard you went on a little adventure.
Yeah,
today.
man. Got out of the house a little bit, went down to the Trout stream, which any of you listening, by all means go do. It's up at the Tishomingo, Blue River area. Now, I'm assuming because of COVID that the place has become extremely popular.
Yeah.
You know, because I've never seen as many people there as I've seen actually the last few times I've been up there, you know, just driving around or anything like that. So Dakota, who is a friend of the show, he went up there with me and we go fish. And the cardinal rule got broken. The cardinal, I can take a lot of shit, but people come at me and they're like, "Hey, where'd you get those fish? Where'd you catch those fish? Where'd you catch them on?" Like, why the hell do I need to? I caught them in the fucking river with bait.
Yeah.
That's how I did it. Don't fucking give me a rig rundown. You know, that irritates. I don't do that. Like, I worked, I caught these fish.
Yeah.
You work, you catch your fish. There's plenty in there. You know, they stock 2,500 a whack. Go get them. You know, but this dude, and then there was another guy who walking down the trail, bebopping. I can hear him whistling. The whistling drives me fucking crazy to start out because keep hearing it. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
I'm looking, and I know it ain't Dakota because he's plumb across the falls. So I wouldn't be able to hear him.
Yeah.
So, and then I look, and there's this fucking serial killer looking dude bobbing down the trail. You catching any fish? So I'm catching a few. Any size? And I'm like, all right, we're gonna have this conversation now. I'm trying to fish. I'm in the water.
Yeah.
In my boots, standing on a fall, trying to fish, and this dude is like, again, wanting to do a rig rundown. You know, like, God damn it. That's just too much. You don't do that. You know, you don't go up there, especially like public hunting land. You're like, well, you seen any birds? You tell me where your birds are. You know, like, no, fuck you. You know, I didn't see anything. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's always good when they come stand next to you and start fishing.
Well, that's rule number 3 that happens up there. If you see a fly fisherman, if anybody on the show fly fishes, you guys are a cult. Like you're worse than Subaru owners. I've stole this line. If he hears it, he'll know where it came from. But they are worse than Subaru owners. Like, these motherfuckers are hardcore.
Yeah.
And fly fishermen up there, I've had this happen to me I don't know how many times. Like, they will come bobbing their asses out there. If they see you catch so much as a a fucking fish 2 inches long,
Mm-hmm.
they're casting right in amongst you. Like, they don't give a shit. They're coming for you.
Yeah.
Well, one time I'd been fishing hard, hadn't caught anything, and finally hooked one. And this fucking fly fisherman dude comes bobbing over there in his chest waders and starts casting right in between me and Kelly. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I lost it. I started throwing rocks at this dude. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know, what the fuck gives you a right? Just because you're in the water doesn't mean you own it.
Yeah.
They're terrible, dude. They're terrible. And most of them are from Texas. Like, if you go up there, it's like going to the casino out here. You know, 7 out of every 10 plates are Texas plates.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, and it was the same thing up there. But, yeah, the fly fisherman dudes can kiss my ass, man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a old school bait fisherman. Don't come out there with that fancy fly shit on my time, because, you know, I will throw a rock your way. But yeah, especially fishing amongst me. And then what's bad is you see the dudes, the amateur fly fishermen. They're fun to watch because they fuck up constantly. They spend more time fucking with their reels than they do fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those today too, because the river was just alive today. It was just populated.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only landed. I think I landed like 5 because I just threw everything back. I didn't want to mess with it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think we could have landed 4 or 5. I don't remember. I quit counting, and then it was just a massive ball of frustration. People ruin everything.
They do.
They just destroyed it. But you know, and the guy whistling, and you know, somehow or another, I don't know how it is about that river, but if you fish somebody and you see them at a spot, you're going to continually follow them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you leave and go to the next spot to fish, they're going to be there. So you're kind of fishing buddies the whole way.
Yeah.
Well, Whistler dude and bad fly fisherman were in front of us. So that was my entertainment, was serial killer whistling guy and bad fly fisherman.
Mm.
So that's how that went. But it's a good time. I mean, at least, you know, get out of the house for a bit and catch some pretty fish. And
Yeah.
And it's also a really bad time to discover that you have a leak in your rubber boots.
That's true.
That
I can see
water was cold.
I bet.
Legit cold.
I bet.
So that's how my day went.
I like fishing up there. We went up there this summer, me and Landon.
Sometimes a good time to go.
And, so the problem with summer, and this is probably on one of your fishing rules, is you get up there and you get fishing and you get in a spot and stuff. Well, good fishing spots are typically like kind of where the deep, cold holes are in the river.
You fish for catfish your whole life. You know where they are.
And so, those are also the best fishing or swimming spots on the river.
Oh,
and
see,
so
I
you
haven't
get the campers that just like wade on down to the water and start swimming in the area you're fishing in when you've been there like an hour.
No.
And that's the one that gets me.
No. See,
and it's always a bunch of kids, so you can't yell at them.
I haven't catfished. I'm guessing you fished in the park area.
Yeah.
Kind of like where the camps are. Okay, I go at the walk-in hunting area.
Yeah.
Where swimming is prohibited, so at least I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about.
No, we go.
Just by the low water crossing.
Well, we went to the low water crossing, and then we went upriver, probably 200 yards or so.
Yeah.
And then.
Well, there's rope swings all down the river, so.
Oh, I discovered. And then when the swimming started, we loaded up and we went downriver. I don't know, probably a couple miles.
Yeah.
Past all the campsites and stuff, and then pulled off a little spot and fished there for a while under some trees.
Yeah.
So,
see, the good thing about the summer fishing there is they stock catfish,
mm-hmm.
And they usually do 3 or 4 stockings a year, I think, maybe less, I don't know. But they're not like roll your nose catfish. I mean, they're decent. Thing is, they cut the limit to 6, but shit, you know, if there's 2 of you there, you catch 6 fish apiece, and you've got a dozen, and they're they're good 3 or 4 pounders.
I was gonna say usually they're about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean that, and it's
5 is about as big as you're getting.
Now, for you, those of you listening that have never been there, if you live in southern Oklahoma and you go up there, the visual that this place gives you is not even Oklahoma. Like it's like that whole section of river, you're in a whole other state. It doesn't look anything like it.
It's the photogenic parts of Oklahoma that you see. When everybody talks about the nature of Oklahoma, this is one of those spots.
This is one of the spots because it doesn't look like anything in Oklahoma. You know, you go out there and even if you see Blue River now, like here, you know, we're not that far from it. You go and you see what you see here, and you're thinking, "There's no way in hell that what you're talking about is worth the shit." And you go up there, and there's waterfalls everywhere.
Yeah, and it's blue up there.
Yeah, I mean deep
see,
blue. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you see where the river gets its name from.
Yeah. And see, the cool thing about that place is, you know, it's 100% accessible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just take off walking and find you a spot and go, and you
Yeah.
camp up there or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we used to go camping up there all the time.
Oh yeah, the camping's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no. Let me tell you, camping. There's no modern conveniences.
Yeah.
You know, there is no electric. So if you drag your camper up there, you better bring a generator. Or you just brought a really expensive tent. You know,
Yes.
that's basically the end of it. You know, so there's no hookups, none of that shit.
Yeah.
So it's best to tent camp, but it's fantastic up there.
Yeah, a couple miles drive to the nearest shower and toilet.
Yeah, literally. Well, they actually have put in a couple latrines. I mean, you can actually, but they're up on top of the hill, so it's still a good hike from all the camping areas. But yeah, there's no modern anything.
Yeah.
So forget about that. But I like turkey hunting up there too. So you know, I've walked that entire place. I don't know how many times.
Yeah. Well, our deer lease that I grew up on is not too far from the entrance.
Hey,
to
I
that
remember you
place.
telling me that it was on the same road at Bullard Chapel. Yeah, that place is so crazy. And like out of nowhere, you're driving down the road, and then all of a sudden you see these enormous rocks. Like the rocks just are fucking huge, and it just starts at that almost just right there, and then when you're on the property, they're fucking everywhere. It's like being in the mountains without being in the mountains, you know, these huge fucking boulders and shit like that laying around. Really cool place though, beautiful. And well worth the half-hour drive.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and the free admission.
And totally free. If you got a hunting license, you're good to go, or fishing license, you're good to go.
Yep.
So, anyway, that's our PSA for the day, I guess.
But like you were saying, you know, with it all crowded up there and stuff, and probably due to COVID, probably just people just trying to get out of the house.
Well,
there's probably a bunch of people that have picked up things like that, just trying to do something.
Well, we went up there last spring when this shit had all hit, and you know, April 6th to May 6th is Oklahoma turkey season. So I mean, I'm in turkey mode by then.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for birds everywhere I can find them. So, and that place being a public hunting and fishing area, you know, there's a lot of ground to cover there. And even then, which, I mean, that was kind of the heart of quarantine, April, May-ish.
Yeah. I mean, what, spring break in March is when it started?
March, well, all right, we went to that Eagles concert March 1 because it was leap year, because they had a February 29 show and a March 1 show in Dallas. We went to this, because one was Saturday, one was Sunday.
Yeah.
They canceled the tour, I'm going to say 3 days after that, and the Houston show canceled. So that to me was like when the dominoes started to fall, because that's when the NBA quit. That's when Major League Baseball shut down training camps, so on and so forth. So right there in that March 1 to like March 15 2-week span there, that's when everything shut down. So we go out, and I'm thinking, man, ain't nobody gonna be out here and all this shit. God, you go out there and there was a tent in every spot. And, you know, it wasn't people hunters. They were not hunters. I mean, they were driving little cars and shit, and you can tell that these tents that they bought were brand fucking new. I mean, they stopped at Academy on their way. Yep. Picked up some tents, and that's what they did. You know, your rope swingers were out there and all that shit. So it's pretty wild. And like today, I rolled up down there, I don't know, probably 9-ish. And by the time we left, there was probably 40 vehicles in the lot where we were, lined up plumb down the road. I mean, in a 20 vehicle lot, there was 40 vehicles sitting there. I mean, it's just insane, because I figured, you know, that's usually my game plan to go when I go fish up there. Is I take off, I go midweek, and then, you know, everybody's working, and it's a holiday week too, so you expect people are getting ready to do whatever they do for the holidays or whatever.
Yeah.
And no, they're all up there. Every one of them. It's crazy. Not a lot of campers. All of it was drive-in traffic.
Just coming out for the day.
Well, yeah, pretty much, because we drove down the first camp area and then went to the second camp area, which we got to drive through to get to where we fish at, and there was maybe 5 campers,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything else, and then leaving, it was just mounded over in cars. But it was all day people, day trippers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the secret's out. But I think it's due to COVID because people don't want to gather in large groups. I mean, what's a better way to social distance than get out on the water and get your 6 trout and head home with them or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely changed because I was shocked. You know, I never would have expected. Now, they have 2 tournaments a year up there. They're called the Trout Derbies. If it's those weeks, I get it because dudes come from all over. They pre-fish. They learn where the river is. Of course, you know, get ready for the big stocks and all that shit. Okay, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not even doing those this year, so it's just people up there, which is kind of depressing. I mean, I've had it to myself many times. Like, I've been the only vehicle in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, that's been my strategy is to go midweek and middle of the day and I don't get screwed with. But,
Yeah.
man, not this week. But I'm going to go back tomorrow because I'm a glutton for punishment. So.
Well, maybe with tomorrow being the, you know, what, the day before.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
As the elves would call it.
Maybe they won't be as many people.
Yeah, that's my hope, but it's also supposed to be windy tomorrow, so there may be 2 less people.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. But I get up there and I go to looking around and I go into turkey mode for some reason. Man, I bet I could get up in here. I bet there's a good roost tree right there. I bet there's birds in here and shit.
Yeah.
I can't focus and get ready to go do the food. But you know, I do love the trout fishing. We need to go. We need to go. Season runs till March.
Does it?
We can get some, when you get back from your little excursions there, we can.
Yeah. Yeah, I get back in February.
Your escapade. Well, February's a good time to go. The colder the better.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm looking forward to some turkey hunting this year. My
Oh,
foot's all healed. And,
that's the way my problem was, man.
I got a shotgun and.
Oh god, turkey hunt, once it gets in your blood, man, you hear that first gobble, it's like you turn into a little kid again.
Yeah.
I can't express, like, that to me is the ultimate mental health.
Yeah.
Even if you don't see anything, just getting out there, calling, trying to work a bird with your friends, you know.
Yeah.
It's more social than it is than deer hunting. You know, deer hunting, you just go, you set up, you wait. Turkey hunting, you're on the move. Like,
yeah.
If you hear a bird in the distance, you can't promise yourself that he's coming to you, so you got to go find him.
Yeah.
Or, you know, however you may do it, that's how I do it, and I'm pretty successful, I think, so.
Yeah.
But, man, like, I've pretty much quit deer hunting because of turkey.
Oh, really?
That's it.
I can't wait till I get the time to get and start back into deer hunting.
Well, I mean, for me, it's more of, I've kind of been let down because the places that I normally hunt, I can't hunt anymore.
Yeah.
And so for me, it just kind of took the wind out of it.
Yeah.
You know? And with turkey hunting, there's so many public places that you can go. I mean, you can't just rifle hunt anywhere for deer. You know? But on a lot of the public places that are archery only, you can shotgun hunt turkey.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you've got a lot more options on the public land side, plus all the Corps of Engineer land and everything else. So, yeah, turkey hunting is the shit, man.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I think about it year round.
I'm a bow hunter. I like bow hunting for deer.
Well,
just the challenge.
Blue River's a bow only place. They have 9 days of slugs.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can carry is a slug in there. But the rest of it's archery only,
Yeah.
no black powder. But I went up to a new place. I say new to me, up on the Washita River. The Monday we didn't record.
Mm-hmm.
When we were having our sound cluster fuck, we decided not to record. I had to get out of the house, you know, because I was home alone, and it's never good to I could leave myself to my own devices. So I went out driving around, and I'd always heard of this place. And turns out it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. It's 13,900 acres, that you can gun hunt, muzzleload, all that shit, and it's not that far. It's 35-minute drive. It's on the other side of Tishomingo. It's
Yeah.
perfect. So I'm gonna scout it a little harder come closer to turkey season, but I think it'd be an A+ deer place too. Because I found two. I was just driving the roads. I found 2 green fields that were 50 acres plus.
Oh yeah.
Planted. So I mean, we can go check those out for deer, no problem.
Yeah.
But that I'm scared to death to gun hunt on public land. But I do it.
I'm not scared of me gun hunting on public land.
It's
scared
everybody
of, Yeah, I'm
else.
scared of the other people. Gun
Yeah,
hunting.
I mean, I want to paint my entire body orange.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a problem wearing orange coveralls at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I don't give a shit if a deer sees me. I don't want him to see me, or I want him to see me. He's like, hey, that's a guy over there,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, yeah. And see, it's kind of the same way with turkey hunting, though. I mean, a friend of mine, he's a big public land hunter.
Mhm.
And they go to Atoka and McGee Creek and all this other stuff every year. And I try to get up there when I can, but we go to Stringtown and different places. Anyway, side point. He run into these 2 old guys who were retired Corps engineer dudes, and they live somewhere in the Oklahoma Panhandle, and they start April 6th, and they'll hunt public land all the way to May 6th, going across the state to different wildlife management areas.
Yeah.
Well, they just so happened while he was up there to be at McGee Creek, I believe it was. Anyway, they, camp. They're camped out up there tenting, and the guys come over and of course they're bullshitting, drinking their bush lights. You always know an old dude when you see the bush lights come rolling in, and he's like, they get to talking. He goes, "Well, I've only been shot twice." I'm like, holy shit, once is enough.
Yeah.
The first time he got shot in the hand, and my friend asked him, he goes, "How the hell did you get shot in the hand?" He said, "Well, the only thing I can figure," he said, he was going for something in his pocket, and he pulled his glove off and went to stick his hand in, and he said, "I guess the guy just saw my hand and thought, man, that's the right size of a turkey, and dusted him, shot him right in the hand." The second one went in his lung. He got shot from, I don't know where. He said he was just kind of bobbing through across a trail. Shot rang out, and he said he felt this burning sensation in his chest, and it had 3 pellets in his lung. So it happens, but I don't know how can you mistake a human being for a fucking turkey?
Well, I mean, you're talking about something though where like when they were filming Return of the Jedi, and and they half the movie's on Endor or whatever in the forest. The guy they had playing Chewbacca, like in between takes, they put basically a bright orange like trench coat thing on him, and then when they were filming, they had people that would like go through the woods yelling that they're filming "Don't shoot Bigfoot" and shit and stuff, because they were worried about hunters seeing this big giant furry thing going through the woods and
I've
shooting
never heard
them.
this story. That's interesting.
And so
You think the Ewoks would be in danger too?
well, I mean, like, but all of that, like, they had it all roped off, and they had.
That's interesting.
They had in
Where did they
between
film
takes.
that?
I'm not sure where they filmed it.
Was it in the U.S.?
I don't know. I don't want to be wrong with that. I just know that they had to put bright orange on Chewbacca
That makes sense.
to
And
keep him from getting shot.
obviously, it must have been McCurtain County, Oklahoma, because that's something that McCurtain Countyans would pull off.
Yeah.
You know, they'd be like, "Fuck it, I'm dusting that son of a
It's
bitch.
Bigfoot shooting.
Ground check that bastard." Yeah. Oh, fuck that.
But
Yeah. Public land hunting is terrifying to me, because there's techniques that my friends use. I won't do it. They call it fanning. And they'll have a turkey fan, and they'll get behind it.
oh yeah.
And they got their shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing this on public land. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're behind a target. Like,
Yeah.
you've painted an enormous bullseye on yourself,
Yeah, and put it in front of your face.
and crawling across a field.
Yeah.
The turkeys love it, man. The turkeys just like, they ignore it. They don't, hens and shit doesn't bother them.
Yeah.
They're like, man, it's just a tom coming through here. But some dickhead will see it and fucking shoot you from across the field. I don't want no part of that, but I guess it's a risk you take anytime you step out there on public land. But
Yeah.
I feel a lot more comfortable doing it, because I think a shotgun blast at long range is more survivable than like a 300 Win Mag, or some shit like that. Like, I could stand up and some dickhead hit you with a 30-06. That's just not.
And I would wear, I mean, we hunted on a lease, and I would still go out with like, during gun season with a bright orange, you know, not even a camouflage vest, just an orange vest.
Yeah.
Orange gloves, orange toboggan.
You've only got to have 400 square centimeters, and you're like 16 times that by the time it's all. Yeah.
From waist up.
Well, anytime like
orange for the most part.
You know, like the place where Logan hunted, and they have those kids that hunt. They go on youth days. Like, I would not be caught dead out there in youth day because that's a kid with a gun is terrifying. Now you got your hunter safety card. That don't mean shit on trigger time.
Well, it's like one of the. I remember growing up, like a lot of the old men around camp would wear like just the Carhartt overalls.
Yeah.
And they'd be brown. And as a kid, I'd be like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like all my shit was camo or orange.
The color of that, ironically, is buckskin.
Yeah. It's the color you're wanting to go shoot.
Yeah, and they're wearing that shit out in the woods.
Yeah.
Even wearing it at camp is dangerous. I'm like, no hell to the no.
No, everything I owned or own is camouflage or orange.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't do the.
No buckskin for me, just for that reason.
Yeah.
I don't have antlers either, so there's that. But yeah, no.
You can't trust them to look for antlers.
No.
So.
No. Hell no.
Especially in southern Oklahoma. I mean, you're hoping guys are hunting or people are hunting for what they've got tags for.
Yeah.
There's a large group of people just out there shooting shit.
Well, the way the tagging system is now, you tag it in on your phone. You can check it in as anything you want.
Yeah.
You know, so just kill whatever you got.
Yeah.
You know, or I mean, depending on where you are, you don't even check in. You know, they don't give a shit.
No.
They'll just leave you. They don't care. You know, so yeah. That's always been that's always sketchy. I mean, at least hunting with people you know, you kind of get a feel for how they are. So, and you know, semi on a lease that, I mean, you're going to get your trespassers. You always do.
Yeah.
Especially as close to hunting public land as you are.
Yeah.
You're going to get those guys. I didn't see that fence that I crawled over with this big sign that says posted private property on it. You know, you always got that guy.
I was sitting in a tree stand one time bow hunting. And the way it was set up was I was about 25 yards into the tree line.
Yeah.
And there was a big green field. And basically they'd come through this creek bed, they'd come up out of the creek bed right where my stand was at, they'd go out this green field deep. And then they'd come back through and go back down. And I'm sitting there, and I'm probably about 16, and it's daylight, so it's probably 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
It's bright.
Sure.
And I look out, and there's a dude on a horse with like a rifle scabbard, and orange on, just riding through the fucking green field. And I'm not like on the edge of where the leash was at. Like I was kind of towards the middle and the back end of it. And he's just riding the horse through the green field, looking for deer. And I was like, what the fuck?
At a distance, that's dangerous as hell because all you see is four legs.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see the two on top. You see just four legs kind of. And at a distance, I've seen it. Like there was the place that we used to hunt on. There's some big bottom land areas. Like they were 30 or 40 acre tracts, and they had them cleaned out and just left the pecan trees because they would shake the pecan trees every fall.
Yeah.
And so they kept everything mowed down really nice and mowed around and things like that. Well, it's perfect for deer hunting because the deer, when they come out to feed, they had nowhere to hide. You know, the grass was cut and everything else because they also baled it for hay and everything else. So, but there was a brush pile that they had pushed off to the side. We kind of built a little sniper's nest in it. Perfect to hide in. You could see 360 view of the field and everything else. Well, the grandkids of the dude that owned the place come out to hunt, and they come rolling up on this Kubota UTV thing, pull their orange off, throw it in the back, get a sack of corn, and go to walk to wherever they're dumping their corn at. Okay. To the naked eye, I could totally see how you could mistake them for deer because the motions that they do. Because, you know, deer will head bob a little bit. And if there's two of them together, way off in the distance, it looks like four legs moving. And you're like, man. Of course, then you throw the scope up or binoculars or whatever you got, and you can totally clear and see what you have. But at like 250, 300 yards with the naked eye, I can see where you would mistake a person for a deer, especially when they ain't wearing their orange.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's just no excuse for that shit. But to take your orange off during gun season and throw it in the back of the, why are you wearing it on the Kubota anyway?
Yeah.
And then why strip it off when you get off to go pour your corn out? You know, I'm like, man, and they didn't even know we were there.
Yeah.
I mean, they had no clue. Of course, we were hemmed up in that brush pile, and we walked in. There was no sign of a vehicle or nothing. They didn't know where we were. And, I mean, it's like, you never know where people are.
No.
So there's a huge safety issue there. But, I don't know. I try to be safe.
I hunted with a bunch of old men, so everything was, you know, about the time that I was hunting was when everybody, my dad's friends, they all had, all of us kids were about the same age, and so we were all on at least the same time, and so everybody was always super careful because you knew you had kids running around the woods.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so
you have to have some level of trust.
Yeah.
You know, like the place where Logan hunts, I mean, there's a bunch of people there, so, I mean, but still, the scary thought of a kid in the woods with a high-powered rifle is just terrifying to me. I mean, not the fact that the kid can shoot, that's fine, and get it, and you know the kid's after it, but, you know, you get that kid out there that's itchy just to pull the trigger, and it's like, man, that motherfucker will light you up, you won't even know he's out there, you know. That's just scary, scary shit to me, but, oh well, you know, it happens. Hopefully, it never happens to me, I don't want no part of it.
Yeah. I can remember, I was 8 or 9, and I went quail hunting with Dad, and we got basically shotgun showered from the other side of the field.
Peppered?
Yeah, peppered. That's the term I was looking for.
Yeah.
We got peppered from the other side of the field from, like, who the fuck knows?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were just shooting shit, and it raining down on us.
Well, we went on a European-style pheasant hunt. If you've ever seen this done, this is very interesting. So basically, it's a 25-30 acre circle, and there's hay bales in a circle. And in the dead center of the circle is like a grain silo with the top cut off. It's just like a hollow can. And inside this can are the dudes that work at whatever hunting facility you are, and there's crates of pheasants in there. And they take the birds out of the box and they throw them up in the air, and you're in this circle. And there's like, I don't know, 25, 30 hay bales. Well, there's somebody behind each one of those hay bales, so you're shooting across at the bird that's going up.
Yeah.
Everyone is. I got dusted so many times, like hitting it. I was bruised. I had whelps all over me and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, these dudes totally forgot. And then finally, I returned fire. I got sick of, because we wouldn't, you know, hunting with like rifles or anything. This is all shotgun.
Yeah.
I finally got, I had enough. This dude hit me. I don't know what it was. And it blistered my ass hard. I mean, we're just a good ways across there. So, I mean, it wasn't like direct shots.
Yeah.
Finally, I was like, fuck it, I've had enough. I just jerk my gun down and I send 3 down range, just dead straight. Fuck them. I hear them screaming and carrying on. Oh, damn, I just got peppered and all this other shit. I'm like, yeah, now you know how I feel, motherfucker. But that shit, I mean, there was no sport in this whatsoever, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, this was just a rich man's game. Like, I don't even know how we got into it, but anyway, and then they would clean our birds for us, and we had like 7 or 8. You're guaranteed 7 birds or some shit like that. These motherfuckers look like Swiss cheese by the time.
I was gonna say, that many people shooting at them.
I brought one of them home, opened it up to fry it, and it was full of shot.
Yeah.
Like, a good 2 shotgun shells full of fucking lead came out of this thing. You could just see the black dots in them. I just chunked them. I was like, this isn't worth it.
Yeah. It's too much work.
Well,
That's one of the reasons I never got much into bird hunting, like quail and pheasant and stuff like that. It's just too much work for that output.
well, you know, dove was the same way, and the meat isn't that good. Quail's good, pheasant's good, dove ain't worth a fuck. Neither duck or geese. I don't care for those. That meat is just too red and gamey. I don't care what you can do with it. It tastes like shit. But you know, for me, it was more about trigger time.
Yeah.
Just going out and getting some trigger time. Crow hunting is one of our favorite pastimes.
Yeah.
Go out, call up some crows, and hit them. That's always a good time.
Yeah. It's like I've got a buddy that's like his favorite thing is coyote hunting.
Predator hunting is pretty fucking cool.
That's his favorite thing to do.
It's fun, and it's super challenging.
Mm.
Because you can't get away with anything. Like, you can't get away with any movements. You can't get away with any sounds or smells. I mean, you got to be just right here and there. And typically, you only get one chance. You know, you get one swing at them before they bust you. It's pretty tough. It's fun. But, I mean, there's a lot of those competitions. Those guys will do those predator hunting competitions. And then they have one in Caddo every year. But, yeah, I've kind of slowed down on that because of running out of property to do it on. I don't want to do it on public land.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll do it on private land. But it's been a while. But it's fun. I mean, if you got the place to do it, it's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a couple times for coyote hunting. I've never had much luck at it.
It's all in the call. You know, the time of year. I did an internship with a federal trapper in college, and he taught me a lot. He's like, dude, it's all about the call and the time of year. He said, in the springtime, if you use a coyote pup call, you'll have no problem. It's like they'll come running because, you know, they're real maternal. And so they hear that pup. We had a call, it was electronic, and it was like this was back when they had the old tape deck ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we could never find it again, like digitally. But it was a coyote pups killing a rabbit. That would bring them in. It would bring in all kinds of shit. I don't know what it sounded like in the distance, you know. But
there's an app, and I don't know the name of it. But there's an app you can download on an iPhone that has predator calls, and it allows you to mix.
See, the mixing of it is the biggest thing because there's pups that getting a kill. It's like everything wants to come watch. It was weird. It was very unique.
Yeah.
But that's how far out of the game I mean, I had one of the old chip ones with like.
Oh yeah.
That's what I used for crow and stuff like that. Now everything's Bluetooth and.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I bought one of the. I was going to learn to call turkey with the mouth calls.
Oh yeah.
And
diaphragm. I can't do it.
I tried it for a couple of weeks and I could make it kind of squeak. And that was about the extent of what I could get it done. And I was like, no, I'll just go to the box.
My problem is I can't stand anything touching the roof of my mouth.
Oh yeah.
I try to literally swallow the diaphragm.
Yeah.
They've got some now that's got this cup that goes over the top of the reed. It's supposedly called an echo cup, and it keeps the reed off your mouth.
Yeah.
And off my tongue, so I don't go to laughing when I do it. I still sound like a drowning bird. Yeah. But I can kind of do it better. But I use a slate.
Yeah. That's what everybody I know that turkey hunts uses.
The downside of a slate is you have to have two hands. It's hard to call a bird and get within close range and then still use your slate and then be ready to shoot.
Yeah.
If you're hunting by yourself. So generally, if I'm hunting with somebody, I'll call for them or they'll call for me, and then, you know, vice versa. That works out better with slate calls. But you know, the good, well-rounded hunter, they can use them all. You know, box, diaphragm, slate. But my preferred method is slate because you can get loud, it carries well, and you can also tone it way down. You can just learn your techniques of how you use your striker. I mean, it's pretty versatile. And then there's different slates. I mean, like there's an aluminum one. If it's raining. Yeah. Because your glass and actual slate won't work when it's wet.
Yeah, once it gets wet, it's not working.
And then, your aluminum one will. Yeah. So it's just how you want to do it. First of all, don't be a dumbass in hunting, right? There's that.
That's sometimes the best hunting.
Yeah, well, that is true.
The only thing I've ever been successful, I've rattled in a couple of deer.
I've never been able to do
but
that.
I've never been able to grunt one in.
Never been able to do it.
Or any other kind of call. But I say I've rattled a couple in. I've rattled and deer have come up.
Well, I mean,
so
stands to reason.
Yeah. Well, but yeah. And so I don't know if they were coming anyways, or if I just got lucky. Because I've only done it. I feel like I've been successful 3 times with it. Yeah. And so I don't know if I've been a sample size to actually say I'm rattling deer. I'm not scaring them off. So that's
the thing. As long as you're getting the desired result, I call it what it is. But,
But I use actual antlers. I don't use any of the,
Yeah, like
the
sheds.
gimmick bags and shit like that.
Well, see, I've never had any luck. Of course, I give up too easy because it just, and of course I get bored, and I'll sit there and do other shit. You know, hunting over bait's the way I've always done it. You know, they'll come to the corn.
Yeah.
They always do.
Feeders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, there's no sport in that. Well, you know.
As someone who's hunted feeders and like stalked hunted and then set up hunt and all that stuff like that, like, and it's hard either way. Feeders they're gonna smell you, they're gonna see you move, they're gonna hear you.
To get that shooter too, I mean, you gotta have the patience to wait because you'll have 15 deer in front of you and you're like, none of those are shooters.
Yeah.
And then the patience to not pull the trigger on the first antler you see.
Oh, I'm a meat hunter.
Well,
so the first time one steps out that I think's big enough to have food on it, like I'm shooting it.
Well, you know, get your doe tag out of the way, I guess. Yeah. But for me, I look at it like, man, I don't fuck with this thing.
Gun hunting is my trophy hunting. Like bow.
Bow.
I'm shooting anything. I won't shoot anything that walks underneath me. I usually won't shoot a 6-point or lower.
Well, with a bow is different too. I mean, it's harder. It's a lot harder hunt. Now,
but gun hunting, like I'm looking for.
Or muzzle loading, you know.
I never could get. I've been muzzleloader hunting. I just never could get into it.
That's my favorite time of year to go.
I don't know what it is about muzzleloader. I just never could, just really get into muzzleloading.
That's my favorite. That's when the rut's at its peak, and then you have a lot more action. It's starting to get cool.
Well, and you figure, and what always surprises a lot of people when I say that is like since I'm a big bow hunter, they would think, well, muzzleloading, it's pretty challenging too. You're maybe double the distance of a bow.
It's the bow of guns, basically.
And so, and then there's like the novelty to it and the historic,
primitive firearms.
Yeah, and stuff like that. But I don't know what it is. I just never could get into it.
Well, there's a lot that can go wrong too. I mean, you get a little bit of moisture.
Yeah.
Your shots ruined.
And part of it maybe is the muzzleloader I was using as a kid was like a legit like
a Hawken
1950s.
Yeah, no.
Flintlock.
No. Muzzleloading has come so far.
I recently got my dad's. He's got an inline muzzleloader.
Well, see, I use an inline.
Put the cap in.
But these are the modern ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like the cleaning process. Usually when you're cleaning a muzzleloader, it's an hour and a half, 2-hour project.
Yeah.
Mine, 3 minutes we're in and out.
That's it. You basically take the bolt part out.
That's all mine is.
Run a tube through it.
You pull the breech plug out, clean the breech plug, clean the barrel.
Yep.
Put anti-seize back on everything, screw it back down, and you're finished.
His muzzleloader looks more high-tech than my 30-06.
Well,
it looks more like a more advanced firearm.
They've pushed the limits on those things so far.
Yeah.
Like, there's even some now that use smokeless powder.
Yeah.
And that's unheard of, because every muzzleloader you've ever seen do not use smokeless powder. Do not use. Now they've got them that use smokeless powder. I mean, they have pushed the limits of these things to being a rifle.
Yeah.
So far.
I can remember the one I had. I mean, it had the lever. You pull back, put the cap on the nipple and everything.
Nipple.
And man, the range on that thing was.
If you get it 125 yards, you were lucky.
I was at 100 yards. I felt comfortable at about 100 yards with it.
Yeah, the old ball cap, there's no accuracy to them.
Yeah, some of them now, 250.
Well, Thompson makes them now to where they're guaranteed like 275 out of the box. Out of the box.
Yeah, and there's places in Oklahoma you can't shoot 150 yards.
No.
When you're gun hunting.
No, not at all. But I've never been comfortable taking a shot like that with a muzzleloader because you're shooting a bullet the size of your thumb.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like the first joint of your thumb is that big.
Yeah.
And literally that big around. That's roughly the size of a 50 caliber. Some dudes will shoot the 55, or some dudes will shoot the 45. But 50 caliber. I mean, it's like shit. You're only putting a 100 grain charge behind it, so you're lobbing that thing down range with little to nothing. And then a lot of them are smooth bore or no rifling in them.
Yeah.
If you get a 100-yard shot on one, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now the modern ones, fuck, they'll lay them down. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You see those dudes taking those long ass shots with fucking scopes built specifically for a muzzleloader and shit. It's crazy.
Well, and what's crazy is we're talking about those like the flintlock style that 100, 120 yards. There's dudes back in the 1700s that were taking 200, 300-yard shots with those same rifles.
Fairly accurate.
Or with less advanced of them. And yeah, and being really accurate with
Well, you think about that. That's an open sight, and then the barrel is a lot longer because right now 26-inch, give or take, is about the standard barrel.
Yep.
Because most twists on modern muzzleloader is 1 and 26-inch, so you get a 1-inch twist on your rifling throughout. Back then, think about this: you had a smooth bore.
Yep.
You know your ball wasn't straight.
Yep.
Couldn't have been because of the way that the molds were made. No two molds were the same because
Yep.
you know they were basically handmade, poured lead.
Yep.
You had no way to accurately measure your charge, so you don't know you were getting.
By feel.
Yeah, well,
basically.
yeah, you were getting more or less powder because you didn't know what you were putting in there because basically you had a powder horn,
Mhm.
and then. You know, some of those guys, you know, you read about, they're shooting rocks downrange.
Right.
Just whatever they can gather up off the ground and flinging it
Fit down the barrel.
Yeah. And so, to make that shot with that weapon,
Mhm.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I couldn't do it. There ain't no way. Open sight for starters.
Yeah.
And the sights then, you know, they couldn't have been much more than just a pin.
No, yeah. I
Pin
mean,
out
they were
there.
just the traditional V sight.
Yeah.
Little dot the back, little dot the front, line it up.
Yeah. There's no optics. There's no
Yeah.
you know fiber optics.
The most advanced thing you were getting was like a tube that just helped you, you know, line it up quicker,
Yeah.
basically. And
That was
no
it.
magnification, no crosshairs.
And you might have been smart enough to like prepare some loads.
Yeah.
And that was it. You know, that's all you had.
Yeah, using pieces of your T-shirt
Yeah, as your wad.
as your wad.
Yeah, that's.
Or as your shirt. So
I couldn't imagine. You know, you being in the military now, could you imagine carrying that weapon into battle? The reliability of it, because you know how much shit can go
Yeah.
wrong with a muzzleloader. The reliability of carrying that weapon and depending on that to be in battle.
yeah, well, I mean, there's a reason with those weapons. Well, I have two things on that. One, there's a reason with those weapons that like the number one killer of soldiers wasn't the bullet itself. It was the surgery to amputate the body part that it got hit on, and they'd get gangrene.
So
or,
there was relatively no accuracy.
Yeah. Oh man, that's why they all fought in a line. And
Yeah, they're just lobbing them.
You know, they're just shooting a straight line. You line up, we line up, and we
Yeah.
shoot each other until everybody dies. You know, while the generals and stuff standing back.
But I mean, just think though. I mean, depending on that weapon,
It would, well, so for me, I have a theory. You know, the human race has always been in conflict. Like we fight wars no matter who it is. We're always fighting over something. But the numbers of deaths have gone up, you know, dramatically as we've gotten better tools to kill each other with.
Sure.
But could you imagine where we'd be at today if in these kind of wars that we get ourselves into, if the tools that we had to fight them were still swords and tomahawks or the muzzle loaders?
We wouldn't have that many.
Well, and then the people that sent you to war were the ones that were going out and living in the tents and commanding on the field with you. Like, we wouldn't have,
No,
you know.
There's no way.
Yeah.
No, it would come down to, yeah, fuck it, I'm too lazy for that shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'd still have your wars. We always have. But at least then we'd have people that were, like, making the decisions to go to war were directly impacted.
Yeah, and
with
having
possible physical harm.
and having to be on the field.
Yeah.
You know, like even back in the Civil War, those dudes were having to ride out there on horses.
Yeah.
Like Stonewall Jackson
Yeah.
got his fucking leg shot off with
By
a
his own
cannon.
dude.
With a cannon.
Yeah.
Of all
His own dude
things,
shot him.
with a fucking cannon. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know.
And so, but yeah, we have a lot less conflict, a lot less deaths, and a lot less rich men sitting in the back while poor men go die.
Oh sure. The poor man would be like, I'm gonna turn this cannon and shoot this motherfucker
So-
through your window.
Well,
You know.
I mean, shit happens.
Yeah, you don't have drones and shit to hide behind now, buddy.
Yeah.
You're out there. Yeah, I've always thought that, and I've always wanted to ask a military dude, like, well, what if you had to depend on that weapon? I mean, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, in the bayonet that came with those weapons, you were going to use it. You had no
Oh,
choice.
yeah, I know.
Like it was time.
Yeah, once you close to about 30 yards.
It was time.
Mhm.
You know, there was no get another load in because that dude was coming for you.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I've
Well,
always.
And, you know, with the way the military is set up now, a guy that looks like me can go in and be an admin guy or a paralegal or a cook or something like that. Like, back in the days where it was swords and tomahawks, or it was
Everybody's
muzzle
online.
loader. Well, not only that, if you're 6'3", 220 and strong like I am, like you don't get a fucking option.
Well, you were also
You're a
rare
fighter.
too. I mean, back in those days too, that size.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like big strong guys back then didn't get the option to be anything else but frontline.
No,
guys.
yeah, you were,
Like,
you were
that's just
probably
what you were.
loading artillery because you were strong enough to pick up the ball
Yeah.
and throw those bitches in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
you were just.
that's your job. Yeah, that it's just crazy to me that those dudes pulled it off with such primitive shit.
Well,
Of course, they had no choice, but
And looking back, like, what idiot decided, hey, let's stand in a line. You stand over there, I'll stand over here, and we'll shoot each other.
it's gentlemanly. You know, it goes back to England to me. You know, I'm talking in my ass here, but to me, you know, you think England, you think the Whigs and just being gentlemen and
It
shit.
goes back to the Europeans with the French and the English
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Like me, I'm hiding in a hole and I'm
Well,
gonna pop out and drill your ass.
But that's why Americans won. That's why we won the war.
Guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, is because we were running around the woods shooting people, and they were like, they won't stand in line and fight us honorably. And we were like, no,
Yeah.
we're fucking fighting to win and not
Yeah,
die.
fuck you,
Like,
buddy.
you can beat us that way. Why would we fight you that way?
There was no Geneva Convention at that time, motherfucker. This is how we're going to do it.
Oh man, like, listen,
The movie The Patriot really paints that picture beautifully.
it does. Takes a few liberties, but
Yeah, but for the most part, it's
it's like that was basically what happened. Is we had the regular army that what's that guy's name? Von Buren, the French guy that came over and trained
yeah,
the military, basically developed the NCO Corps.
yeah,
That's shitty of me that I don't remember his name. But anyways, you know, so we had the regular army that was learning to fight rank and file
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And then you had all these like the militia guys, and they were just trappers and hunters and good old boys and
those were the
moonshiners.
best motherfuckers out
And,
there, though.
yeah,
because-
dudes that lived with the Indians and shit. And they were like, "No, that's stupid. We're gonna run around the wood line and shoot you, and then run away, and then shoot you when you come after us." And,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
real, and then hide for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
And,
That's-
well, and the same thing happened in the sea. We hired, you know, basically a bunch of American pirates.
Yep.
Decided, all right, we'll attack the British fleet in a piratey manner
Yep.
and wreak havoc.
So it's all about the innovation.
And so,
Yeah, and you know, nobody did the guerrilla warfare better than the Vietnamese, though.
Yeah.
I mean, those motherfuckers had it figured out. Like, you know, their trench system and
Mhm.
their tunnels, and I mean, they'd fuck you up and disappear literally into the hill. Like, there would be a hill, there they were, then they were gone, like fire ants.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just.
well, and that's the problem with, I mean, every third world nation you fight.
yeah.
Or, well, let me rephrase that. Not every third world nation. Every nation that is developmentally less than you are.
Yeah,
So like us fighting Vietnam, but like Vietnam fighting Laos.
yeah.
When you fight on their property, like that's their
Well,
their
it's
only
home
line.
field advantage.
Well, but they're only able to basically fight you in a guerrilla warfare
Yeah,
in a non-conventional manner because they can't match up with you.
exactly.
You know, force
Not
on
man
force.
to man.
And so that's why I always think it's funny.
So badass at it.
I think it's funny though that like when people talk about you know, someone invading America, or the argument gets made about how you know, you don't need assault weapons because, you know, the government has tanks anyway, so it's not like you're going to fight them off.
Yeah,
Like, we've spent 20 years sending guys overseas to fight, you know, an asymmetrical war against terrorists and stuff that are
against
defending
gun
their land.
murderers, basically.
Can you imagine if those guys decided, hey, we need to defend our country
Yeah,
and stuff? Like, fucking Afghanistan with rocks and stones and some, like, old-ass AKs have beat off the British, the Russians, and the Americans.
yeah, for sure.
And, like, they don't have airplanes and tanks
Where
and
there's,
bullshit
where
like
there's
that.
will and heart,
Yeah.
there's a way.
I mean, go watch Red Dawn and cheer on the Wolverines.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, that's literally how that fight would go.
Yeah, that's true.
And, I mean, that's how it goes overseas. And so, but I would not. I would rather fight with swords and tomahawks and hatchets and shields and shit than with a musket.
Oh yeah.
Like, if
no
I had to
doubt.
pick,
No doubt.
I trust
It's
the
so
sword to swing.
it's so unreliable.
I trust it to swing.
Yeah, I mean, you make contact, you're good.
Mm.
With musket, it may not even go off, and there's also the chance that it'll blow up in your fucking
Yes.
hands. So there's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, if you pour too much powder, if it gets wet, if
Yep.
it's, you know, if your ball's just a wee bit too big to go down the barrel.
Lodges in there, whatever
You know.
projectile you picked up.
Yep.
I mean,
Like, no, just scares the shit out of me.
oh hell yeah. And in the heat of the moment, you ain't got time to like go through it. Patch, powder, ball.
Well, and it's not just me shooting. Like I said earlier, like that shit hits you like in the arm. probably gonna die when they amputate it, like back in the end.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so
and they're also using like core lead too. I mean, it's just straight up lead or whatever, or whatever the hell they can find. Iron. You know, there's no accuracy to it. You bounce most of them.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they would do with their cannons.
Yeah.
They would shoot cannons about 10 yards in front of the line and let it pop up and run through a group of guys. So, or they'd load it with a bunch of silverware.
Yeah.
And shoot it about knee level.
Curtain weights.
Yep.
So my granddad, he built a cannon. Him and my dad, they took a piece of, and this was my grandpa's favorite thing. He did it every 4th of July. Why? I don't know, but he loved this shit.
Because blowing shit up's American.
Well, I guess so. And you know, him being an old Korean, World War II, he was World War II veteran and Korean.
Mm-hmm.
So he got in on the ass end of World War II, Guadalcanal and all that shit. Some more like the Pacific battle, and then he was still young enough that Korea rolled around. Guess who gets to go?
Yep.
Anyway, they took and built this cannon out of. He was a welder too, and they built it out of a piece of steel pipe. And every year the charge got bigger. They were shooting 300 grains of powder out of this fucking thing. Like they were shooting marbles because it was like 1/2-inch steel pipe.
Yeah.
So marbles would fit perfectly.
Yep.
So I'm guessing that's probably what 50 to 30 caliber, 1/2-inch.
Yeah, I mean, depending on kind of.
It would be bigger than 30, so it'd probably be 50 caliber.
Yeah, you're like 45, 30.
And you're
45, 50.
Imagine hitting that with a 300 grain charge. That I guarantee the marbles hadn't landed yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
but the ones that didn't vaporize.
Yeah, that didn't shatter
Yeah.
on the way out. And God knows what else they put down this thing.
Yeah.
Because him and my dad would get out there and go in the shop and they would build shit. Because my granddad was a big reloader, so he had all the molds, casts, and everything else. So he was building all kinds of shit. I guarantee you he sent some sabots down range with this fucking thing. But the last charge, my dad was scared. He's like, dude, I don't know about this. 300 fucking grain charge. It was like that much fucking powder in that thing. And, I mean, it would bust your fucking eardrums when this bitch went off.
Yeah.
They took and they mounted it on the ground, and they used rebar for the legs, and of course it sat. So it sat like this.
Yeah.
And they had a steel cap on the end with a little hole drilled in it for the fuse. And that's where they would get the fuses, is off the black cats. Because you remember the black cats were held together with a fuse about this fucking long.
Yep.
And that's where they would get their fuses.
What was the diameter on this tube?
I think it was 1/2-inch.
So it's just a tube like this?
Yeah.
So it's a little mini cannon?
Yeah.
So basically a mortar tube?
Essentially.
Okay.
Essentially.
Just trying to get the picture.
It's basically you take a 1/2-inch piece of steel pipe, put a cap on the end of it, and weld 2 legs to it, made out of rebar, and that's what it was.
Pretty much a mortar.
Yeah, and if you put a cap on the other side, you got a pipe bomb.
Yep.
That's essentially what this thing was. But my granddad loved this so much. He'd go out, I mean, I'm talking, I guarantee you could hear it for miles. Go boom, and I'm talking, it would flip this fucking thing.
Oh, yeah.
It would turn over. And how it held together, and he wasn't afraid of it. He's like, fuck it, dude. He told me one time, he said, man, I got a tank shot out from under me in Korea. He said, this ain't shit. You know? He's just fucking, he didn't care. He goes, fuck this noise, you know, we're going to do this. And my dad said, well, you know, we started out with like 40 grains, 50 grains, 100 grains, which is a standard black powder charge. And then by the time it was all said and done, we're up to 300.
Yep.
Damn.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. It sounds like a typical vet. I can count on, 2 hands real quick. There were guys that probably would have been right there next to him, like, I think 305 will work too.
You better slip 320 in there just to be safe.
I can immediately think of probably 10 dudes that would be like, oh yeah, this is a great idea.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's the thing. Is I'm gonna have to switch sides with my mic thing eventually, because this is driving me crazy. Because it's in my good eye.
Yeah.
I keep staring at it.
That's why I had to move this one over.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to change this on our next podcast. I'm gonna play the game now. But anyway, yeah, that's the way it was, man. And of course, he was a tank commander.
Yeah.
So he was fucking fearless. He didn't give a shit.
Yep.
And my dad, he's like, man, I don't know. My dad, you could tell that shit was getting real because my dad would start backing up a little further.
Yeah.
A little bit further. Of course, this was, I don't know, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Rural Roberta, Oklahoma.
Man, there's just a combat vet that's actually seen combat is just a different breed of human when they come back.
You knew it was some shit because he never talked much about it. And of course, when we buried him, he still had shrapnel in it.
Yeah.
I mean, he he saw some shit.
Yeah.
And he the only stories I ever got out of him was when he talked about getting his tank shot out from under him.
Yeah.
He said that happened, and that was like one of the G-rated stories.
Yeah.
Like that we're not even talking business into the deal of what was going down.
Yeah.
It was I fucking ran over a mine and blew this motherfucker up.
Yeah.
You know, and knowing him, I'm like, man, I'm not surprised you blew up the fucking tank. He's just reckless as shit anyway.
Yeah.
You know, of course, but I guess doing that, but surviving Guadalcanal, you know, which is one of the worst battles in the Pacific at that time, and then, you know, getting tank shot up. You fucking riding lawnmower don't mean shit. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, he was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about the unit I'm in, and from the brigade down, is it being a combat unit and it's deployed.
Yeah.
I mean, basically on average, like every 3 years since I've been in.
Yeah.
And man, they're just some dudes that just, you know, you really like and you love a lot, but you're also like, that dude is batshit crazy.
Well, I mean, that's the guy you're glad's on your side too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I know shit goes down, he's got me. You know, he's got my back.
Yeah. There's some dudes walking around Durant that are like you'd never know it talking to them.
Yeah, yeah.
And stuff, but are legit badasses.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And have the combat experience and time to back it up if they wanted to.
Oh yeah.
And but they're like what you were saying. You're good. I never talk like, oh yeah, I've been over to Afghanistan a few times, you know.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I've been there.
Played a bunch of video games, lifted some weights, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, if you know what they've done, you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the shit he's seen. And, you know, even there, I mean, you know, modern warfare. You know, at least you go back that time, they didn't have the modern conveniences and stuff that the dudes now have. You know, with like night vision.
Yeah.
Or, you know, modern weaponry or anything else. You know, it's not that far back, and them dudes were using those rickety ass like M1 Grands and shit. You know, I mean that by today's standard, that's as primitive. That's like a muzzleloader essentially. I mean, it's primitive as hell. And, you know, they got the pop out magazine. Pop another one in there.
5 rounds.
Yeah, that's all you get. You know, so you see that shit, and it's like, wow, it's come so far, so fast.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, it's like we were talking about the last episode when we were talking about Space Force. Like 80% of modern inventions come from somebody trying to figure out how to kill somebody better.
Yeah.
Like it just
better and cheaper
across the world. It's just how that shit works.
And then the cheaper faction has been thrown completely to the side. It's just cost effective, not so much. Badass, yes.
Yeah.
Can we make this plane invisible? Sure. We'll figure it out.
Man.
With the Wonder Woman plane.
Yeah. I don't know. There's that drive to get, you know, and I get it, like save soldiers' lives, like drones,
sure,
you know, and stuff like that. But the more you make war impersonal, the more we're gonna have it, and the more somebody.
It becomes more tempting to do because
there's no easier, yeah.
There's none of your own lives at stake. It's just the other guy.
Yeah.
And you'd better hope the other guy doesn't get that technology, because guess what? Here we go. Or can afford to do what we do and things like that. So, I mean, I guess if you outpay them, that's how you do it. You know, you keep more money going and stay that far ahead of the game. But, you know, I don't see a bunch of goat herders flying a drone over here or anything. But you can't tell. Flying a goat.
They don't. When you don't have the resources, you have to become inventive, and they didn't need a drone to come over here. Like they found a different way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing.
But it just it's it just seems like we're going more and more that way.
Well, and it's far less cost effective too. I mean, you know, it's not very expensive to a drone. You lose, you know, the cost as in life.
Yeah.
You know, one drone is nothing. There's no human life there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a dude in Mexico with remote control. It's like, all right, get another one, get it in the air, let's go.
Yeah.
You know.
Got a $20 million drone.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, what's the price of, you know, one drone versus say 200 troops? You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's kind of a trade-off. I would trade the drone every time.
I think there'd be we'd be a lot more successful if they'd loosen up the rules of engagement for us over there. The problem we've gotten into in the last 20 years is they've turned the military into a police force.
Sure. Yeah.
Over there, instead of military, go fight a war, go kill people, take
Go home,
land,
be done.
and then in the war, come home. And they've turned us into a police force, and they regulate us and put so many rules on what you can and can't do, when you can and can't return
Sure,
fire, stuff
sure.
like that. That's when it's become dangerous. I know of guys that have been in situations where they were getting shot at, rounds were hitting their Humvees and stuff, and because they couldn't clearly identify the person that's shooting, and not like there's a crowd of 400 people and somebody from the crowd is shooting them, but like because they knew it was coming from the window, and which window, but they couldn't see the guy in the window. They could just see the muzzle flashes, but they couldn't see the person. They weren't allowed to return fire.
Yeah, see, that's horseshit.
And so now, obviously, I won't say all, 99% of Joe isn't going to return fire into a crowd.
No.
Soldiers are humans.
Be some civility there.
Yeah, they don't want to. They're not going to.
See, that's the thing about the drone. There's no, oh my god, I pushed the wrong button.
Yeah.
And then wipe out. There's no discrimination.
Yeah, there's no context. Like you're looking through a camera feed.
Yeah.
At a wide berth area.
There's a delay there too, so it's not like real time.
Yeah.
So
they've gotten pretty close.
But still,
I mean, there's
a second is a long time.
Yeah, there's a delay, but it's not like what you would think.
But still, I mean, a second is still a long time.
No, you're right.
And when you're having to make those decisions.
But I'm just saying it's not like a 35, 40 second delay.
Yeah,
like
it's for sure.
It's near instantaneous. I mean, it's like downloading Netflix.
Yeah.
But there's just no way on the ground to see what's actually going on.
No.
But then again, I'm a big isolationist, and so I'm a firm believer in, hey, we're going to do us.
Yeah.
God do you. If you fuck with us, we're going to blow you up. But then we're going to come home.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And you can rebuild.
Well, that's the way it was meant. Well, I'll say meant, but that's the best way to do it anyway, because then you keep it personal.
Yeah.
And then, there is a real risk of cost of life, but then you don't get hungry for it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not necessary now.
Yeah. Well, and if we're going to stay over there, then we plant the flag, and you're now citizens of America, and you owe taxes, and your taxes are going to rebuild your country.
I can spend money over here now. And
like to me, you can't play the middle ground. You either have to be what do they call it? Empire builders, or you have to be isolationists.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Playing the middle ground is dangerous.
And I understand that, because then you start to develop a taste for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, man, this is too easy to do. And then the next thing you know, it's like, well, fuck it, we can go blow these motherfuckers up. It don't cost much.
Yeah. Well, and what's bad is, like, I think you're referring to like the taste for war. To me, seeing it, it's like the group of people develops a taste for money that war generates.
Well, they kind of come hand in hand.
Because war generates money. I mean,
Look at World War II.
Yeah.
World War II was you were on the heels of the Great Depression, and what better way to put everybody back to work than making bullets?
Yeah. Well, but there's justified wars too.
Totally.
Like there's wars where you just look at it, you're like, yes, we need to go.
Yeah, I mean,
and then there's other ones where you're like,
highly questionable.
What are we doing?
Like the one we're in now, highly questionable.
So,
but like World War II. I mean, that to me was the last really of the big justifieds. And even then, I don't know that the U.S. would have gotten involved too much hadn't it been for Pearl Harbor.
I think we would have eventually, because I think Germany would have.
Well, Germany would have took over France,
Europe, and turned on us.
Wiped out France, and
it was coming.
England,
Japan just kind of jumped the gun a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But Korea is pretty right there for me.
But Korea never ended. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was just that.
Well, and that's the problem with. Like that's where we started getting into these police wars.
Yeah.
Like Vietnam turned into
bad.
Desert Storm didn't really. We kind of did what we did and then came home. Built some bases in Kuwait.
Desert Storm though was more like a TV war.
Yeah.
You really think about it. I remember when I was young. We were 10 years old, 92-ish.
Yeah.
So it's roughly 10 years old when that shit went down. You remember? This was the craziest shit. Like they had Desert Storm playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go get the cards, I mean, everybody wanted a Norman Schwarzkopf.
Yep.
You know, you had Apache cards, and then there were coins that were collectibles, shit like that. Like, to me, that was the biggest sham in the world. It's like, dude, there's people actually getting shot and killed. Not many.
Yeah.
But there were still people.
On our side.
Yeah, but there were still people getting shot and killed, and
Yep.
here we are, like, dude, I'll trade you this Colin Powell for your Norman Schwarzkopf.
Yep.
Like, holy shit.
Yep.
Seriously. You know, you look at that and it's like, I couldn't imagine that shit going on in Korea.
Yeah, but you gotta look at it this way. So, the Cold War ended in what, like 88? Got out of Vietnam in the early 70s, and really probably didn't win Vietnam the way we ended it.
It didn't.
And so
in perfect
the last war America had been in ended on a fairly sour note and left a lot of like, we're declaring ourselves winner, but we're not really sure if we actually won this.
Yeah.
And then the Cold War ended, and then Desert Storm comes along, and we just, 30 days wipe out a country's military, and it was just a chance for America to.
And most of them surrendered.
We dominated. American excellence is there again.
Yeah, but then the capitalism of the whole thing is like, man, get your cards, your coins.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the military surplus stores were huge.
Oh yeah.
You know, the desert check.
Well, but that was kind of the
Camo.
beginning of it being cool to be a soldier again.
Yeah, I guess so.
Before that, you were a baby killer, and
Well, even before that, you really, in the whole pretty much decade of the 80s,
Mhm.
I know some dudes that were in on the 80s, like, we didn't do shit.
No.
We just hung around. We went to Utah and fired off some rounds.
Yep.
We just,
especially if you were in the guard.
well,
right?
these guys, were full-time army,
Mhm.
some of them wound up in Germany and places
Yep.
like that, but they don't remember it because they just drank the whole time.
Yep.
That's all they did. So I guess that was the first time any of them got any trigger time.
Yeah, I can remember listening to people talk that were like active duty, that were SEALs or Rangers or something, and they came in about the time that the war on terror started kicking up in 2000, 2001 or whatever, and they had these guys that had been in through the 90s, had missed out on Desert Storm, and then sat around in the 90s and basically did that, drank beer and hung out and bullshit around and stuff, and then the war kicked off, and they're sending everybody to Afghanistan, and these dudes that had been playing, and I say this because this is what their words were like, these guys that had been playing SEAL and playing Ranger, actually get overseas and have to start, figuring out how to do combat, and they were just like, what the fuck are we doing? So,
and it was urban at that time too, so it was something completely brand new. It was way brand new.
Yeah, I had to relearn the whole way of doing things.
Yeah, so it's just the evolution of it all. That's just the craziness of it. But it is what it is. We've been there for 100 years.
Yeah,
probably gonna be there 100 more.
And we're slowly drawing down. There's not many left at all in Iraq. Afghanistan's pretty low. We have a habit of leaving a base or two in any country we go to, but as far as like actual like combat and war and stuff like that, we're pretty much out of them at this point.
Well,
even when I was over there a few years ago, like it was, they pot shots at us, pot shots back, but like it wasn't like it was when I was the first time over there.
Oh no, it was hot and heavy then.
But it's we're pretty much out of them. We're just a couple bases here, a couple bases there.
Well,
probably less than 5,000 people in both countries combined. And so, but I mean, when we started talking tonight about hunting and fishing and stuff, that kind of ties into with the war stuff. It's one of the reasons a lot of people don't fuck with America. Like, our recreation is wandering in the woods and shooting and hunting things.
And being very good at it.
Yes, and I mean, other countries do that too and have their hobbies, but like you were talking about the pheasant hunting, the European style pheasant hunting is, they throw the birds up from a tin can, you shoot them.
Yeah.
Like, whereas we're like, I'm gonna go trap a beaver today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hunt a bear. And
Yep.
and so, and it's really funny when you get overseas and you start seeing these other countries' militaries.
Yeah.
And they are very, I mean, we're regulated, but they're very regulated. like everyone tells you exactly what you what you do.
Yeah.
You know, and it happens in our military. We get orders and stuff like that. But there's a lot of times where you know, you just got to know what the second and third order effects are, or you know, the unspoken orders are to do things, you know, and stuff like that. And other militaries, they're just, you know, your leader gets up in the morning and he says, "Yeah, here's what you do hour by hour for the day," and then you come check back in with me, and then we're like, "I don't know, go fucking do that over there." And, so, and there's a funny meme that I'll send you when I find it again. But basically, it's from World War II, and it's an English general, a German general, and then an American general, and they're talking about each other's like tactics and stuff. And basically, it's all the Europeans in general, German generals are like, you can count on the Americans to have a tactic, an SOP, for every situation that you can possibly get them in. You can also count on the Americans to not follow the tactic or SOP for that situation.
Yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, I mean, it's like the English are, you know, their standing order if they get contact is to pick up a defensive position and wait orders.
Yeah, for sure.
And in the American military, it's absence of orders, attack. Like that's just drilled into you. Hey, if you're not getting told what to do, go shoot somebody.
Yeah, yeah. That's what you're here for.
Yeah. And so it's
good times.
But it's funny how many guys get in the military that are hunters and fishers, and then or the guys that have never hunted and fished in their lives get in the military and pick it up.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of those too, especially nowadays. You know, I think that's a lost art, it's a dying art. And there's some dudes that are, you know, they get into it for the look, the poshness of it. But to me, what has ruined it is the high fence hunters. You know, people who go to the ranches and stuff like that. That's not hunting. That's shooting. That's not hunting. You're going out there. Okay, this animal here's $12 grand. If you want to spend a little more, here's one that looks a little better. You know, to me, there's no.
Oh yeah, no.
That's the European pheasant hunting of
deer. The knowledge that's getting lost generation to generation.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody nowadays is okay. Well, I've watched a couple videos. I've read some books. I'm good. I can shoot. I'm good. I can go in the deer woods and stuff. And so they don't ask questions. Like when my dad and his group of buddies that I grew up around, when they all pass on, like I soaked up knowledge like a sponge from them, and they probably still know 4 or 5 times.
Or forgot more than you know.
Yes, and so like the amount of hunting knowledge and fishing knowledge that's going to disappear when those guys die,
and
is just crazy.
It's like I said, that's why it's a dying thing, because you know people go out there and they watch those hunting shows and fishing shows.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they learn all their techniques. Sure, it may work for those guys. It may be practical in those situations, but it ain't gonna be practical in your situation and where you are.
And how many of those shows are filmed on high fence ranches?
You know, you don't. There's too high of a success rate for.
Yeah, you can't have a hunting show where a guy kills one out of every 12 episodes.
Like, here's a doe.
There's a little 80-pound doe.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where it gets lost. Is people, you know, I can pay for the experience, get a great animal, get a good mount, all that shit, and be done with it.
I'm not saying that there's not some animals that maybe I'd go on one of those type of hunts for.
It would be an exotic.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be an exotic.
The people that pay $4 or $5 grand to go hunt, just and admittedly a monster whitetail.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the fuck?
You can do that naturally.
Yeah. Like,
you're not guaranteed shit. It don't cost anything.
But I also don't want to. I won't hunt anything that's caged. Like I would pay for a guided hunt. You know, like up in the Rockies or something like that.
But that's different.
That's what I'm saying. Like I would pay for a guided hunt somewhere. But yeah, just go hunt something that's locked in a cage, and even if it's a 5-acre cage, like that's fucking stupid. That's not a challenge.
No, it's not.
Maybe if you let me like try to kill it with a knife.
Well,
you know,
or a chainsaw. It's like here's a chainsaw. Go ahead and kill it.
Here's a loincloth and a spear.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But you know, for me to pay for a hunt, it would have to be an exotic. It would have to be something that I wouldn't get a shot at anywhere else any other time.
Yeah.
Like an ibex or I don't know what a cuckoo or whatever the fuck those weird looking sheep are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And shit like that. Like okay, I'll take a swing at one of those.
I might for like
or even a red stag or an axis deer or some shit like that.
Yeah, I probably would for a chance at like a grizzly. Or like to go on one of those really cool guided elk hunts, like somewhere, but it would be like like I'd pay for the location, like to go to Alaska and hunt one.
Well, yeah.
or something like
but
that.
On a grizzly hunt, I mean, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna find a caged bear hunt. That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do, that's piss poor. But you know, when I think cage hunts, I'm thinking exotics.
Yeah.
That's the only way to go because you can get that other shit naturally. Because there's nothing more exhilarating than not knowing what's coming on the other end.
Yeah.
You know, on those cage hunts, you know what's coming. You know what's going to be. You know what you're looking for. You know that there's nothing else in there like it.
Yep.
You know exactly what it is. When you're in nature, dude, you don't know what's coming over the hill. Be a little scrub buck or be the fucking trophy of a lifetime.
Yep.
You know, and be that elk, be that moose, be it whatever, bear, whatever. You don't know. You don't know. You may go home empty-handed.
Yep.
But you're paying for the experience. You're not paying for guaranteed animal.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be a little different. But for me, man, I'm like you. Like I pay for the scenery.
Yeah.
To get away. And if I don't get anything, fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I've hunted.
It's the experience, not the animal.
I've hunted for years
Yeah.
and never pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I call it hunting, not
Yeah.
shooting. But you know, you see these dudes that hop on a plane and go out there to Wisconsin or something. It's like, all right, that's $16,000 deer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's no fun because you can't score it.
Yeah.
It doesn't count for anything scoreable.
Yep.
Oh, this is a 250 class deer. That's great. Doesn't count. It's not real.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not the kind of person that's going to hang a dead animal on my wall, so it's not going to hang on my wall either.
Well,
So,
I mean, if I kill a deer like that in the wild,
Oh.
absolutely.
I don't know. I'd probably cut the antlers off and make one of those.
Some form or fashion.
Maybe, but like I couldn't put a deer head up on the wall. Like it's just always is.
Ah,
I'm just not a deer head guy.
I don't have any, but the reason being is
Yeah.
I get, you know, I go for size.
Yeah.
I like my turkey beards.
Yeah.
I keep those.
Yeah.
You know, those my little mementos, my trophies. They hang right. In fact, there's two of them right there.
Yep.
You know, but shit like that, I get. Now, I told Amanda, I was like, if I kill 1/12 inches, I'm getting a full body mount. Like, I don't give a shit. It's gonna be strutting. We're gonna strutting Tom.
Put it in the middle of this table.
Hell yeah, a strutting Tom somewhere in this house. A big one. We have to get cameras so we can see each other because it's gonna be standing up right there. Hell yeah.
Put it right in front.
Yeah, I'll put it out.
All
there.
fanned out.
It'll be here. Yeah, that's the
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah.
That's my dream. If I kill 1/12, see, I've got certain criteria that the animal has to meet to get mounted. That's why
Yeah.
I don't have a shitload of them. You know, it's got to be like if it's going to be a deer, it's going to have to be a Boone and Crockett score.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to have to be big.
Yeah.
Maybe I might put a Cy Curtis, but whatever. But with a turkey, it's got to be over 12. I've got 1/10,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got one. Well, that one of those is 10. The other is 9 3/4, as close as I've got,
Mhm.
and everything else has been shorter.
Yeah.
But if I get 1/12 inches, I'm not cutting that beard off. I'm getting that whole fucking bird mounted.
Well, when we go turkey hunting in the spring, one walks out with over 12 inches, I'll let you shoot it.
Shit, yeah, it's gonna happen.
So I
I'll
feel.
knock you down to shoot
Well,
it.
I was gonna say I feel really fucking guilty first time I go turkey hunting and shoot like a 13-inch.
That's there is something to beginners love.
Oh, there is.
I
No, you're not
mean,
wrong.
There
I don't know
really
how
is.
many hunters I know that have walked in the deer woods and never hunted in their lives and walk out with 10 points.
We'll take a trophy, you know,
Yeah.
a big trophy. I see it all the time on.
Well, my theory on that is that like they're going with somebody that's taking them the first time,
Sure.
and so they're trying to set them up to be successful. So like a lot of that pre-work that,
Yeah.
that you really kind of start tossing out as you get older in your experience.
Yeah, but you're not taking them out there directly. It's like, dude, there's a booner going to walk in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
No, but you're definitely putting a little bit more effort into making sure they get something.
Yeah, to make it
So,
worth their while.
Yeah.
And to attract them more
Yeah.
to the.
So they get the good spot.
Yeah.
And, you've made sure the food's out or whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my theory on it. But
Well, every youth season, I always see these. The wildlife farmer always puts these photos up. It's like, oh, this was little Jerry's first deer, and you look at it, it's
Yeah.
like fucking bigger than anything I've ever seen on the hoof.
yes.
God damn.
Yep.
Oh, he killed this on public land too. Like, holy shit.
Yep.
You know, but that's the experience. That in itself, you kill a deer like that on public land where everyone has had an opportunity at it, and
Mhm.
you're the deer picks you.
Yeah.
That's the way it's not how it goes, but that's how we'll say it goes. The
Yeah.
deer has chosen you to walk out in front of it. You make that shot. It's like it's just so incredible.
Yeah.
But and then those same people will go every day of every season for the rest of their lives and never see hair.
Yep.
They killed that one just stupid monster and then never see shit again.
Yep.
So there's always something to beginner's luck. But I don't know. I never had it. I've always had to work my ass off.
But that's so kind of to wrap it all up. Like that's the joy of it for me is the work and just getting outside, getting in nature.
That's 70.
If you get into hunting or fishing or any outdoor sport, and the only thing you're looking for is the end state and not the process, you're not going to enjoy yourself.
No, and that's the thing is, I equated going back to like scouting all this public land.
Mm-hmm.
We're riding around together, talking bullshit and swapping stories. It's the camaraderie of being out in the woods with friends and being like, we can set up here, we could do this.
Yep.
The planning that goes into it, you could go out, like me and Dakota last year, we hunted. It wasn't nothing for us to walk 10 miles in a day and not see anything.
Yeah.
Like at one point last year, I've seen more tornadoes in the field than I did turkeys. That's no shit. That is 1,000% accurate. Like we were hunting in a place in Boswell and fucking tornado come across.
Yep.
Like legit. So, I mean, but you don't get tired of that. It's the camaraderie, it's the preparation, it's the process.
Oh, yeah.
It's right.
No, if I start listing my top 10 favorite hunting memories, like my first deer is probably
That's
9 or 10.
Way down there. It's the things that have happened.
Yeah.
That happened during. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole thing. And that's how you introduce people to the sport. You go out and you just, this is what we do, and then the shit that happens around it. There's always stories.
Yeah.
I mean, like one of those toms right there. I shot that thing closer than I'm sitting to you.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw it. Never laid eyes on the bird before I pulled the trigger. I take that back. I did for about 2 seconds because he came over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, the guy I was hunting with was on the other side of the trail, and he could see it, like clear as day. But he couldn't shoot him because he would have shot me. I was in between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at him, and he's doing this shit. And my shotgun's laying on the ground next to me. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I was like, what? What? And I turn and look, and there's a hen. Like, literally could have, I guarantee if I didn't move, I could have felt the breath come out of her nostrils in my eye. Like, that's how close she was. So, like, and I'm thinking, oh, fuck, this hunt's over. And she just turns, and then she starts walking off. And I'm like, oh. And I look back at him, and he's like, you're a fucking gun, with this emotion. And I'm like, what? And by that time, that bird gobbled. And I'm like, oh, fuck, he is right there. Like, literally. And he steps over, and there's a trail kind of sitting where I'm at. And my legs are over the trail, and there's a tree that's laid over the trail. And like there's just a hole where whatever had been running that trail, be it a rabbit or whatever, it was just a little game trail, had been underneath that tree. I can't see him. Like I see feet, breast, and beard, and I know I can't take that shot because like if I take that shot, I'm just gonna wound him and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my friend that I was with, he purred at him, and that's what it kind of sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
That bird stopped, and he turned, and he just looked underneath the log. And that's where my shotgun barrel was, and I just pulled the trigger. I shot him off the hip. It's stories like that. That's what makes it fun. Because, it's something, I remember this like it was yesterday.
Mm.
And it's something that's fun to tell, fun to relate, and stuff like that. It's not the end game of, I killed this enormous deer and shit like that. Those are fun stories, but they're not near as fun as the unexpected, totally randomness of things that happen in the woods. To me, that's what it's about.
Yep.
Walking 600 miles and then calling something up 5 feet from the truck, shit like that. Yep. That to me, that's what it's all about. It ain't about, man, I haven't killed anything and get down and done. You're going, you're being a part of it.
Yep.
Get out there. So yeah, you're right. If you focus too hard on the end game, you're missing 70% of the point.
Yeah.
You know, the end game is huge. Don't get me wrong, and it's rewarding and everything else.
Yeah.
But you miss out on the scouting. You miss out on all everything else. You've ruined it.
Mm-hmm. We're just being out in nature.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
for you, those of you that don't hunt, like, if you take anything away from this podcast, the big deal is just the nature aspect and the camaraderie aspect. Get out and hunt arrowheads, hunt, you know, seashells in the river,
Totally.
hunt,
I mean,
you know, just get out in nature, roam, get out of the house.
you never know what you're gonna find.
Take your kids, get them developed into something that, you know, they enjoy doing with you out in the woods.
Yep,
And
for
so,
sure. I mean,
but,
it's just being a part of it, and you'll
Yeah.
learn so much about the world around you. I mean, you may get a real badass case of poison ivy, but that's life, you
Yep.
know? That's
Yep.
part of it. So,
well,
yeah, get out there.
get out there, quit listening to us, listen to us in headphones while you're out there.
That'll
That's-
work.
that's the way to do
Or
it.
AirPods, however you want to do it. That's
however you
fine.
want to do it. But
All right, we'll see y'all.
we'll see y'all later. Thanks.
Easy.